A very good afternoon to all of you, and a huge thanks to MC of this event who brought every one of you in energy again in the room so that I can start my interventions here. And I see I have 10 minutes to cover what I have to cover, so I'll see how I can cover within the given amount of time. So the topic for today which I have chosen is data protection for digital India, empowering individuals, business, and the nation. And within this limited period of time, I'll try to cover that how the given regulatory framework which is existing in India can help all these three categories of people in the country to embrace the benefits of digitization. I'm sorry, it's not moving. Can you please see? Or you can go, if whosoever is managing can go to the next slide, please. So I'll just give a very brief snapshot of Data Security Council of India. Data Security Council is a industry body and a think tank working in the areas of cybersecurity and privacy. And I believe since second half of the day when I've joined this conference, this event, everyone is talking about cybersecurity. So I'll take the rein a bit further and I'll take it to data protection. Because as a policy expert, I embrace what is there in data security and data protection from a regulatory aspect. As the MC mentioned, I'm a lawyer by training, and I have that policy lens to look at things, so I will try and use my expertise to that area. But just to sum up what DSCI is all about, we do policy advocacy, we do come up with thought leadership papers and reports on various subjects of cybersecurity and data protection, and emerging technologies to add to that addition. Capacity building of all sort of groups, be it women, children, youth of society through our various programs. Awareness and outreach to our consultations. We have an incubation center who basically incubates cybersecurity startups. We do research and collaboration. We also help in industry development. And we have a specialized team within our team, Cybercrime Investigation Training and Research Center, who look into the specifics of cyber crimes and investigation and digital forensics. Can you go on to please next slide? You can put the entire slide here. I don't think that animation is going to work here. When I say digitization, what it comes to your mind? All these icons which you can see on the screen depicts different forms of digitization. Artificial intelligence, IoT, OT, web technology, smart devices, all of these are one or the other aspects of digitization. And how do they bind together? Through architectural framework and stacks, protocol, technology standards, interfaces. Can you please click enter so that I'll get my main content here? Again, please. Third slide. So digitization basically means three things: productivity, experience, and, if I may come again, please, and possibilities. So this is how we can sum up our digitization. Right now what I see is some lacuna in the digitization aspect that I can operate my own slides, but then everything we do these days, be it registering for this particular event or sending my profile via email, everything is digitally interconnected. But with digitization come problems of cyber threats, which I think this room has been discussing since morning, right? How do we mitigate those cyber threats? How do we manage those cyber threats? How do we ensure that regulatory compliances related to those cyber threats are met within, and our organizational goals are also put into place? So from that perspective, I have picked up a very niche area of data protection, which is an aspect that if you adhere to data protection, while you are complying with the law, how you can enhance trust in your services, how you can manage to get more consumers, how as an individual I would protect or I would have control on my data sets. Next slide, please. Again, I think I have covered this all. So why data protection matters? Obviously, individual privacy. Second being enhancing business trust. Third is obviously prevention of cyber trust. When I'm able to for sure or full proof that whatever I'm using in this digital space is free from any threats, I would have prevention from cyber threats. Regulatory compliance and national security. National security I've added because at most of the laws we see if your country is protected from cyber threats, our national cyber security posture is strong. And that's how we see in all other regulations, be it SEBI, RBI, how critical infrastructure has been given a special position. Next slide, please. Again, you can put the entire slide on screen. No, never mind. So this is a slide which I have tried to depict in a manner that be it a data protection legislation of any country, how you can have interpretational regime on how you should look at a data protection regulation. So when we come to this, we have to see country's position, that whose privacy they are trying to protect. What is the applicability? Who on it is applicable? What are the processing methods they are looking at? Definition of processing. What is the definition of processing? So that it's easier for you to understand and comply with various laws. What are the different types of data they are looking at? Is there a categorization of data? What are the processing conditions? Under what circumstances you cannot process data at all? What are the different privacy roles? I was asked very recently that do you think CISO's role getting stronger with DPDPA coming into existence? I said no, maybe you have to hire a new DPO because the law wants that a person should be specialized in data protection roles. Cross-border data flows, extraterritorial provisions, localization, exemptions, how are they going to be enforced, etc., etc. Now, from a content standpoint, what are the principles the law would adhere to, right? Like we vouch that Indian DPDPA is a principle-based legislation. How and why it differs from GDPR? Because we may not be that prescriptive as GDPR is. Or what are the obligations and liabilities set forth on various players of the ecosystem? And what are the enforcement mechanisms? So this slide will help you analyze and interpret any kind of data protection regulation you may have on your table to understand and comply with. Now I'll come to evolution of data privacy in India. I don't want to make it a monologue. Can I have someone in the room who can tell me that whether data privacy was only a right in 2017, how do we exercise this right before 2017, or so to say 2023 of this year? How did we have right to privacy in India before 2017? I won't take much of a time. Basically, Article 21 of Indian Constitution, which provides for right to life and personal liberty, it was read as a cornerstone and right to privacy was a part of it. But it was dependent on whims and caprices of the court, and a whole lot of judgment says that under what circumstances it could be right to privacy or not. 2017 is remarked as landmark here only for the reason that in that particular judgment, K.S. Puttaswamy judgment, Supreme Court categorically hold that right to privacy is a fundamental right. And in that point in time, they appointed Justice B.N. Krishna committee to come up with a draft version of the law. And as DSCI, we take pride in the fact that DSCI was integral to that committee, and we have taken firm stance on certain things. The committee came up with a 2018 bill. This bill was revised, and we had 2019 bill introduced in the Lok Sabha. This bill had lots of comment from the Joint Parliamentary Committee, and the Parliamentary Committee came out with its own form of a bill in 2021. This bill, you all will remember, that was revoked in the year 2022 in the month of August, saying that we will come up with a new bill. And then in 2022 November, we had a very crisp version of data protection law of the country, which was vouched as a principle-based legislations, because whatever the privacy principles are, purpose limitation, data minimization, storage limitation, accuracy, transparency, was all enshrined in various provisions of the draft bill. This draft bill again underwent a lot of consultation, and finally we had DPDPB 2023 introduced and passed in both Houses of a Parliament. And the recent past is that DPDP Rules 2025 is under consultation, and Ministry is going to receive comments and feedback on its till February 18, 2025. So as DSCI, we are all working actively on getting industry feedback and inputs on the rules. Now, when I say digitization, what it means for business, what it means for individuals, I think this particular title came to my mind only looking at the objective of the law itself, wherein it says, this act recognizes the right of individual to protect their personal data, but we also understand that to reap the benefits of digitization, business needs to process information for lawful purpose. When I went ahead and read, lawful purpose is what? Anything which is not illegal is lawful purpose for the matter of DPDP law. So in that sense, we understand that how government tendency is to strike a fine balance between businesses needs to process information and at the same time, you and I as an individual to have control over my data. And that's how compared to the EU GDPR, our law is very consent-centric and dependent heavily on the consent mechanism. I am not going to go deep into applicability of the law, as we all know that it applies on digital personal data, any data which is in digital form. So right now, if VAR India is recording me here, they are collecting my lots of personal data and given AI theme, my voice, my appearance, my style of thinking, everything is my personal information and expect that it is protected as per the requirement of DPDP law. On a lighter note, it doesn't apply to processing personal data for any personal or domestic purposes or made publicly available. Now, since the theme of the entire room is AI and cybersecurity, this is something that we have to be careful about. And from an awareness standpoint of view, if we are putting something publicly on the internet, it is not protected by the DPDP Act or it is under legal disclosures. And I think that's how AI mod developments is going to take place in the country because PAPD is currently not the subject matter of the law. Now, I would come to key features of the law I would have talked about. It's a principle-based legislation. So whatever privacy principles is there across the globe is also enshrined within the letters of the law of India's DPDPA. Again, recognition of both individual rights and business needs. Data principle control, that route to consent and notice framework. This is one of the biggest compliance challenge for the business, I understand, because our law has made it heavily on the consent part that how you have to get an overt consent, informed consent through the notice framework, which has to be in 22 languages. And all this we understand to give more power to a general data individual of the country because all of us know that what is the privacy maturity of a country like India. But this again gives rooms to a lot of innovation that how industry can figure out their own means and ways to figure out that this particular compliance requirement. Rights of data principles, obligations of data fiduciary, and then again I can relate to this VAR India particular event theme that reasonable security safeguard is one of the huge expectation of DPDPA. And rule has further clarified that what are the 6-7 elements of reasonable security safeguards, including encryption, obfuscation as data security measures, and minimum provision of 7 or 8 requirements that you have to have while you are doing compliance with the law. Privacy innovation, when I say this, because when we read various provisions of the law has all the rooms open for privacy-related innovation, security-related innovation, compliance obligations, etc., etc. Special treatment to certain DPs, data principles, I mean, persons with disabilities and children in the country, to ensure that online safety is also preserved while they are using the benefits of digitization. Flexible data transfers and balanced enforcement mechanisms. Why I am saying so? Because unlike other jurisdictions, we are not heavily relying on penalty. The 250 crore penalty which is industry is vouching up is based on the discretion of data protection board, but at the same time we have mechanisms like voluntary undertaking and ADR mechanisms which may balance the competing interests, and if you can still show that you have proactively done data protection and cybersecurity and something untoward happened and you took all due care and due diligence, DPP may still take that into account and you may not be levied heavy penalty on that. Now, since I have 22 seconds left, as DSCI, we work in all these areas in our from our privacy and policy perspectives. And in the recent past, we have worked on these kind of regulations coming out from the government. And in all these things, we worked from a perspective of cybersecurity and data protection. These are our publication reports. If you can see that we pick up very niche areas and topics, and we come out with thought leaderships wherein we deep dive into the details and put out frameworks, guidances, and reports both for government and industry stakeholders. These are what our activities basically deal with, that what are the consultation activities, how do we engage with the industry at the large, and how we engage with the individuals in given scenario. So I think that's all I have. The time is up for me, so I'll come to the next slide. That currently we are also working on various policy and privacy issues, cybersecurity issues, and it's something if you think that DSCI should have attention to, please do write us to policy@dsci.in. That's all I have. Thank you so much for your kind listening.